discovery of the wild carnivorous plants in the wilderness of the Jayante Hills saw the rising of a possible question lurking in our mind. In which corner of the Jayante Hills do the people of SIELKÂN, the constant companions of these wild carnivorous plants, possibly live? Tales of the life of the native tribals of SIELKÂN, living on the brink of civilization in the wilderness of the Jayante Hills, have been of great interest to us in order to actually witness their folksy lifestyle with our own eyes and also experience them. 5 of us decided to go in search of them, along with a native tribal guide with profound knowledge about the forest. There were many to discourage us by saying it's too far, the path's too difficult and dangerous. But there is a saying, when one's curiosity is at its peak, one forgets the distance, the danger and the hardships. We started our journey on a foot from Lumchinong, which is about 120 km from Shillong, through a narrow forest track that opened before us vistas of natural beauties in the form of rippling rivulets, brooks and cascading waterfalls, and also dangerous rocky terrains. After a long, exhausting climb through rocky terrains, we got quite accustomed to the hardships and dangers its topography had to offer, and accepted them as a challenge. Eventually we saw some sign of life in the form of freshly made human footprints and a bamboo gateway, much to our relief. A distant sound of a drum with unmistakingly tribal beat could be faintly heard. A sigh of relief escaped us when we sighted a shanty, a rugged hut built in a most primitive style on the hilltop. At last we have reached the obscure and remote village of SIELKÂN, far away from the madding crowds and the hustle-bustle of the cities and town, when we had almost given up hope. Inhabitants of this village are of mixed population with a strength of about 60 people. Chaos and confusions caused by the age-old sporadic ethnic strives in various parts of the northeastern regions have kept many tribes always on the move, like nomads on a lookout for a greener pasture. Perhaps the people of SIELKÂN belong to this category, who have found SIELKÂN as a green pasture to make their settlement. Their rugged huts are built in a very crude fashion, 2 or 3 feet above the ground, supported by wooden stilts, dried leaves, reed, woods and coarse bamboo mattings extensively used for the flooring and the roof, skillfully weaved and arranged to form patterns. They look pleasing to the eye, although they are crudely made, clearly reflecting the generosity of nature and their complete dependence on her. The simple motive behind building their huts on high stilts are convenience in feeding their livestock, for keeping the hut warm and free from insects lurking on the ground. It's a dwelling completely cut out to withstand and resist all kinds of hardships nature had in store for them. And above all, its simplicity and crudity perfectly suits the lifestyle, contrary to the dream house for modern man. The hut has no separate compartments, that means no secret to hide. In the center there's a hearth which keeps the hut warm and cozy. The soot from the firewood seems to have given a darkish hue to the inner part of the hut. There's a canopy-like structure called the rup just above the fireplace, effectively used to store dried vegetables, meat, fish, corns and grain, which can be economically used during the time of scarcity. Only a few crude utensils are there to adorn their hut. Life begins early in this village, where the cock still rules the roost. The chief and his wife are already up, performing their daily chores on the threshold of the little hut. Perhaps they are preparing for a feast. Chili or red pepper is their hot favorite. It is usually used to spice up their food. Here, the chief's daughter grinds her favorite chilies in a handmade traditional bamboo grinder called a theikung. For them, food without chili is like life without smile. The women folks are busy grinding grains in a traditional grinder called the sum. While grinding, even two persons can take turn alternatively, but one must keep the timing. They feel that two grinders are better than one, as it saves them a lot of time. After grinding the grains, they winnow them in order to separate the husk from the grain. There is no hard and fast rule in this village that only women should grind grains. Here, one of the menfolk gives his wife a helping hand. With a child on his back, he grinds the grains, but his grinder is little different from the sum, which the women folks use. Here he uses his legs to operate the grinder. The young daughter of the chief separates the cotton seeds from the cotton bales, freshly picked from the field with a traditional handmade equipment called the herot. It got the name herot by virtue of the rickety sound it produces while operating it. Little children synchronizes a catchy folk song with the rickety rhythm of the herot. This merry scene reflects complete complacency and division of labor in perfect harmony. Meanwhile, the tidings of new visitors have reached the ears of the wise old man of the village. Gregarious by nature, he immediately rushes to the chief's dwelling to share some pleasantry with us as a gesture of goodwill. He entertains us with the tales of his brave deeds, a reminiscence of his younger days, making him totally nostalgic.
Tí lại nhìn tí pura con phê là riêng lại anh đây ri hai cũng đã sự năng làm cả tiếng bọc
The call of the nature compels the old man to proceed toward the self-made pit behind the hut in order to relieve himself. Inbuilt facility of a toilet or a latrine is totally absent in their conception of a dwelling. Civic sense is just out of question. As the old man proceeds toward the pit, a pig strolling nearby immediately understood the call of nature, as they are accustomed to their daily chores of cleaning the mess or excreta in their own way. It merrily follows the old man to have his fill. The pair makes a comical sight, but the use of an unhygienic open-air pit near one's dwelling and also allowing one's livestock to indulge in one's excreta speaks a volume, a need for a better alternative. Here, one of our friends tries in vain to enlighten the women folks that breastfeeding not only keeps the child well nourished but also gives a boost to the child's immunity system. But she feels that these informations are just beyond her comprehension. She breastfeeds them simply to keep them well nourished, cheerful, and above all, to strengthen the bond between her and her siblings. Simple reasons, but quite true. As the baby burps and coughs, she blows his thumb, a most traditional way to stop a child from puking. The proud hunter of the village preserves the rare feathers, hides, skins and skulls of some unfortunate birds and animals he had shot a long time ago as trophies in order to keep the tradition of his brave ancestors alive. His little toddler fondles and plays with them, little knowing that these trophies are his family's pride. The fast decreasing numbers of wildlife in the forest nearby makes the hunter quite apprehensive about his reputation as a hunter. At the same time, he also vaguely realizes in his own way that if indiscriminate hunting of birds and animals continues, then very soon he wouldn't have the pleasure of showing his grandchildren the rare birds and animals in the nearby forest. They'll be reduced to just trophies. These conflicting thoughts greatly disturbs him, little knowing about the stringent terms of Life Protection Acts. The menfolk spend their leisure smoking and chewing tobaccos. They feel that after a hard labor, only a puff from their pipe can make them fully relaxed. To show their hospitality, they never forget to offer their guest a puff from their favorite pipe. They do not depend on the outside markets to provide them with tobaccos. They have a special corner in the field where they grow tobacco plants. They collect the tobacco leaves, dry them under the sun, and finally chops them into small pieces, keeping them always ready to be used. The chief, known for his hospitable nature, invites us for a lunch. A lunch at the chief's dwelling will surely be a sumptuous one, no doubt. For lunch, the women folks have laid out the delicacies they have prepared on the banana leaves to display their culinary talents. The aroma and sight of these delicacies have already started creating havoc among the children. Mouth-watering, they stare longingly at the food. For them, visitors are rare, and a feast with them with so many delicacies together is rarer. We are so lucky the chief of the village has invited us for the lunch. We're going to have it with them. Look at this. This is a traditional sling. This is a traditional sling. Boy, this is called a sling tui, and the lady of the house, she serves the curry over here in the middle. This is supposed to be nepok, made of chicken and mixed with rice. It's their favorite curry, and the rice is put just around it, and each one has their own respective share. This one, it's so interesting having food in a big klengtui. They eat their food in this plantain leaves. Well, he has about 8 children all together having the food. It's a very useful custom. It brings them together. Even I feel like eating with them. Let me try. This is supposed to be my share. Look, this part. I'm going to eat with them. It's delicious. My God. And in this particular May, this is called a curry. They put a kind of a sodium bicarbonate which is homemade. It's very tasty. And this is the chicken, special dish. We are specially invited by the chief. So we are very lucky. In fact, he has got about 8 children. And he believes that the more the merrier. He doesn't believe in family plannings at all. Well, I have. This is a wonderful custom, I feel that. Although it's very primitive, yet it fosters a kind of a feeling of brotherhood, togetherness. So when they have some social gathering also, they use this slaying pui. And even the friends can eat together. They've got different kind of curries. This is also a kind of a traditional anpui they call it. Yeah, it's a rare one. And even this one, it's a bean and some mixed together. Other vegetables mixed together. It's going to be very delicious. And they cook the food in this huge one. The entire dish is full of the nip. See, we are all going to finish it. It seems so tasty. Look at this. And this is the rice dish. Huge rice dish. It's meant for the entire family. And this one, and this is also a kind of a mei. They call it mei. Here also they use a sodium bicarbonate, which is homemade. They make it with the help of this ashes. These ashes. The ashes are collected in a certain dishes, and then whatever is filtered, they use it as a sodium bicarbonate. The chief of the village is going to have his food now. Okay, yeah. And this is supposed to be a rup also. Just have a look. They're hanging lots of dried meats and a kind of a bird also. And even this one is used as storage for foods. When food is scarce, they use this food to store it. So it reminds me of fridge, you know, a modern fridge. They can keep the food when it's not easily available. They can keep the food on this way. And besides, the one which is dried with the help of the firewood tastes very nice. It has certain aroma and taste which is very delicious. And it's used to flavor food also. See, it has two storage. Here also they keep some dried vegetables, and some grains, and some maize is also kept here. The maize is out here. These are all dried and they're going to taste very nice. Different from the one which is sun-dried. One must taste meats which are dried with the help of the firewood. It tastes different, absolutely. Completely different from the one we get in the market which is sun-dried. It's absolutely a different speciality, I feel that. And they can use it for the entire year. The whole year they can use it. Herds of goats are reared by them as they can withstand all kind of hardships. Bamboo shelters supported by high stilts are built for their safety. Besides, goats are one of their most valuable assets. Their wealth and social position are measured in terms of the number of goats they possess. Goats are also bartered for other necessities like clothes, sugar and salt with the outsiders. Money hasn't still found a special place in their life as it has found in ours. The amazing sight of a female goat giving birth to a new life was called to our attention. The poor mother struggles hard as the bill confined in the fleshy membranous placenta with blood ooze was pushing its way out of the womb through the genital of its mother. The newly born baby with placenta and umbilical cords still intact struggles to catch his first breath and glimpse of the world around it. A sight which made a hair stand on end. Indeed, nature has a peculiar way of bringing in new life into this world. But it becomes a source of great joy and a cause for celebration to the simple villagers. It means an addition of a new member to their village. Be it a baby goat or a baby boy, makes no difference. A mere birth of a kid can bring so much joy, reflects the untainted simplicity of the villagers, even to the point of being infantile. The young farmer of the village is now ready to set out for his field. He feels that one must start the day early, after all it's harvest season. Carrying a huge basket-like structure called the paikong, he walks happily toward his field. Very soon he'll be reaping the fruit of his hard labor. The yellow paddy field, rippling under the sun, are the prized possession of these villagers, a source of their very existence. They proudly show us their possession. For them, November is the harvest season, much looked forward by them, when they can reap the fruit of their hard labor. Harvest to these villagers is totally a social affair with no religious coloring, a time when the whole family comes together and flow as one. From the youngest to the eldest, understands and performs their duty instinctively, with little or no training of any kind, to the best of their ability.
The entire field belongs to the chief of this village. It's harvest time now, and the harvest season is always looked forward by the entire family. This is the season when the entire family comes together and do the work. See, the ears have ripened and it's become yellow everywhere. And he practices a traditional method of farming that is called juning. Look at this, the entire family, even the smallest member, he is going to cut, he cuts a grass. These are the grains he cuts and puts it in this paikong. This is called paikong, traditional paikong. He cuts it just above the stalk. This is the place he cuts it. He collects the grain and put it inside the basket. And the family, they work from dawn till dusk. They work very hard to earn their living. In fact, they feel that their wealth and everything is hidden in these yellow grains, because it's their source of income and source for better living too. Look at them all working so hard with the father, with everyone. The entire member, one after the other, works very hard all day without caring how sunny the day is. The sun is scorching, yet they are least bothered about it. It's very difficult. Harvesting is not very easy, but when they do it together, it's an enjoyable experience. And like this, they're going to do it till dusk. Look at this. Even this one is trying his level best to contribute to his family, contribute for his family.
A hut-like structure built in the center of the field, effectively used to keep a proper vigilance over the field. A part of it is used as a barn to store not only grains but also fruits and vegetables. We aim to have made this useful shelter a fine resting place where we can leisurely enjoy watching the harvesting activities as well as enjoy the fruit of hard labor that the villagers have put at our disposal. A nice juicy cucumber to start with. The field with its diverse vegetation has somewhat decreased their dependence on the outside world. Water being one of the basic needs for survival, the women folks of SIELKÂN have to walk miles to fulfill their need. as inbuilt water supply facilities like tap, tanks and even wells are just out of their bound. Underground sinkholes in the caverns and caves, rivulets and waterfalls are the only known sources of water. They have to climb down dangerous rocky paths to reach these sinkholes, a fatal exercise out of necessity.
This cave is 60 feet below the ground. Look at this water. It's the only source of water of this little village. And it's very pure. It's very nice.
But hard life had made them sturdy and highly adaptable to the hard conditions, little knowing about the promise of comforts they are missing outside the world. But the rational intervention like harnessing the natural resources with the help of modern equipments like pipes, pumps and water reservoirs can bring water closer to their vicinity, which will go a long way in easing their hardships and also in improving the quality of their life. Years back, the ancestors of these people were in the clutches of animism, which called for many primitive inhuman practices. But their absorption into Christianity have partially freed them from the shackles of their dark past, awakening in them the need to master the alphabets or the ROB chô, which will open the gateway to the vast treasures of the Bible, translated in the local dialects. So the religious need have compelled them to turn their back against illiteracy and the dark shadows of the past with little effort. They do not have proper formal institutions like schools to impart formal education to the children. Instead, education is the responsibility of parents and the church elders, imparted informally when the need arises, without being bounded by time or space. The simple value system of these people have taught them in a hard way to be contented with their life. They live in their own world, an isolated cocoon which is still unpolluted by materialism. But one can't turn a blind eye to the fact that in spite of their land being naturally endowed with resources like a beautiful limestone topography, which can boast of having a number of caves, caverns with sinkholes, waterfalls, rivulets and brooks, and above all, a very fertile land. But the people have to still experience a hard and difficult life devoid of any quality. Lack of proper roads and communications have kept them isolated, backward and deprived. Unless concrete steps are taken to their advantage, they will remain marooned in their own world, buried in a dark past.